11 accountants missed it, but a simple delivery courier stopped a millionaire with 2 words. Don't sign. What happens when a food delivery courier finds herself in the middle of a multi-million-dollar contract signing and yells at a millionaire CEO not to sign the documents? What happens when a woman with no formal education uncovers a financial scheme that could bankrupt a major corporation? This is the story of Valentina Ruiz, a woman from the slums whose sharp mind and honesty exposed corruption at the highest levels of business. But what would make a financial advisor blackmail her using her sick mother? And why is an engaged millionaire willing to break off his engagement for a simple courier? "Don't sign that contract!" Valentina Ruiz shouted as she burst into the conference room on the 42nd floor of the Conectaya skyscraper. In her hands, a thermal bag for a food delivery trembled, her face etched with desperation. 5 men in expensive suits turned to her in confusion. Seated at a massive mahogany table was Sebastian Mendoza, the 35-year-old CEO and founder of the company, holding a golden pen over a stack of papers. "What is happening here?" asked financial advisor Diego Herrera, rising from his chair with a cold stare. "Who let this girl in?" "My apologies, Senor Mendoza." A breathless Valentina placed the thermal bag on the table, her eyes fixed on the documents. "I didn't mean to interrupt, but these numbers, they're wrong." "Wrong?" Sebastian asked, putting down his pen in surprise. "What do you mean?" "Call security," Diego ordered the secretary. But Sebastian motioned for him to stop. "Wait, let her speak." He looked at Valentina. "My name is Sebastian." "And you are?" "Valentina Ruiz. I'm a courier from Rapida Delivery. I brought your lunch, but when I saw these documents..." "What did you see?" "The profitability report for Techno Solutions. It says they have a 15% profit, but with those staff and rent costs, that's physically impossible." The men exchanged glances. The company's auditor, Roberto Maldonado, nervously adjusted his glasses. "Senor Mendoza, I don't think we should listen to a courier's nonsense." "This isn't nonsense," Valentina protested. "Look at page 23. Salary expenses are 40% of their turnover. Operating costs are another 30%, and taxes are 10%. That leaves 20%, but they're claiming a net profit of 15%. Where's the other 5%? Sebastian picked up the document and carefully examined the page she indicated. Sure enough, the calculations didn't add up. "It could be a printing error," Diego quickly suggested. "A technical inaccuracy or a deliberate misrepresentation of data," Valentina countered firmly. "Senor Mendoza, if you partner with a company that's hiding real losses, you'll lose not only your investment, but also your reputation." "How does a courier know about financial analysis?" asked Carlos Vargas, the partner from Techno Solutions, with a sneer. "I study accounting at night," Valentina replied. "I specialize in financial forensics, and these numbers scream fraud." "That's absurd," Carlos retorted. "Our reports have been audited." "By what auditors?" Valentina looked at the signature on the document. "MBK Consulting, but that firm lost its license 3 months ago for falsifying documents." "Check the registry," she said. Roberto Maldonado went pale. "How does she know that?" "And how do you know that?" Sebastian asked, a steely edge in his voice. We got a recommendation from a trusted source," Roberto stammered. "What sources?" Silence hung in the air. Valentina's heart pounded with a mix of fear and excitement. She had risked her job by interrupting a meeting of powerful men, but she couldn't stand by and watch an obvious deception. "Valentina," Sebastian said quietly, "what else did you notice in these documents?" "A lot," she said. "Inflated asset values, suspicious accounts receivable, a lack of provisions for potential losses. I can show you if you'd like." "Show me." For the next 20 minutes, Valentina explained the finer points of financial analysis. She pointed out inconsistencies in the balance sheet, questionable transactions, and signs of artificially inflated profits. "See this line item, other income," she asked, pointing to a number on the report. 8 million pesos with no explanation. That's a classic way to hide losses. Record non-existent income under a vague category. Carlos Vargas grew more and more agitated. "This is all speculation. We have all the necessary paperwork." "Then provide a breakdown of that 8 million, Sebastian said calmly. "It's a trade secret." "A trade secret during a merger?" the CEO asked, surprised. "That's strange." Diego tried to smooth things over. "Sebastian, don't let a courier's suspicions ruin an important deal." "Suspicions?" Valentina pulled a notebook from her bag. "I ran a quick analysis based on all available data. Techno Solutions has been operating at a loss for 2 years. They're hiding it to find a buyer or investor to cover their debts." "This is slander!" Carlos shouted. "It's math," Valentina replied calmly. "Numbers don't lie. Only the people who manipulate them do." Sebastian closed the folder of documents. "Gentlemen, I think we should postpone the signing until after an additional audit." "But we already agreed on all the terms," the Techno Solutions representative protested. "You agreed based on false information," Sebastian said. "If your reports are honest, a second look will only confirm it. We can't wait. We have other offers." "Then take them," Sebastian said coolly. "The meeting is over." Once everyone had left, only Sebastian and Valentina remained in the conference room. She stood by the window, looking out at the city skyline, trying to process what she had just done. "Do you realize you could have ruined a $50 million deal?" Sebastian asked. "I do," she replied softly. "And I also realize I may have saved you from losing that $50 million. What if you're wrong? Then I'm a fool who ruined an important negotiation." "But the numbers say I'm right." Sebastian walked over to her. "Valentina, what are you doing tomorrow?" "Working, delivering lunches." "The day after?" "Same thing. Why?" "I want to offer you a temporary job. I need someone to review all the documents for Techno Solutions and our other potential partners." "I'm not a certified auditor," she said. "But you're honest, and honesty is worth more than any diploma right now." Valentina turned to him. "Senor Mendoza, I'm just a courier who studies at night. Call me Sebastian." "And you're not just a courier. You're a person who saw in 5 minutes what a team of certified auditors missed in a month. What will your advisors say?" "They'll get used to it." "I have a new financial security consultant." For the first time in years, Valentina felt like her life was about to change drastically. 3 days later, Valentina sat in a small office on the 39th floor of the Conectaya building, examining financial documents. Her desk was covered in folders, reports, and printouts, while spreadsheets glowed on her computer monitor. "Find anything interesting?" Sebastian asked, walking in with 2 cups of coffee. "Too interesting," Valentina replied grimly, not looking up. "I'm afraid the problem isn't just with Techno Solutions." "What do you mean?" She showed him a chart. "Over the last year, your company considered mergers or partnerships with 12 firms. All 12 were recommended by your financial advisor, Diego Herrera. What's strange about that? The fact that 11 of them have serious financial problems, hidden losses, unpaid loans, questionable assets." Sebastian frowned. 11 out of 12? "Yes. And what's even more suspicious is that the audits for 10 of those companies were done by Roberto Maldonado or firms he recommended." "You think they're working together?" "I don't know what to think, but the numbers speak for themselves." Valentina opened another folder. "And here's the most interesting part. I traced the financial transactions through public registries. Roberto Maldonado has received large transfers totaling $2 million over the last year from offshore accounts." "From where?" "From different countries. but the chain leads back to the companies he audited for your deals. Sebastian sat down across from her. So you suspect Roberto of taking bribes? I suspect someone is paying him for positive audit reports on companies that are known to have problems. And then those companies are presented to you in deals that are meant to bankrupt Conectaya. Why would someone want to ruin my company? I don't know, but there's one more strange thing. Valentina pulled out another document. All of these companies share the same legal counsel, the firm Vargas and Partners. Isn't that the firm Carlos Vargas's brother works for? Exactly. And get this, Diego Herrera used to work at that firm. Sebastian stood up and paced the office. So my own advisors are trying to cheat me. It looks that way, but we need more solid evidence. What kind of evidence? Documents, emails, recordings, anything that proves a criminal conspiracy. There was a knock on the door, and Diego Herrera entered, looking displeased. Sebastian, I don't like what's happening. What exactly don't you like? The fact that you're entrusting serious matters to her. He looked at Valentina with contempt. To a courier with no education. Valentina has an education and excellent intuition. Intuition doesn't replace professional experience. Thanks to her meddling, we lost a profitable deal with Techno Solutions. Profitable for who? Valentina asked. For Conectaya or for those who were getting commissions? Diego went pale. What do you mean? I mean the deal wasn't for us. It was for your partners. The ones who paid you for recommending financially unstable companies? That's an accusation without proof. For now it is, Valentina agreed, but I'll find it. Diego turned to Sebastian. You're letting her accuse me of corruption? I'm letting her do the job I'm paying her for. And you can prove your innocence by providing the documents for all the deals you've recommended. What documents? Your correspondence with partners, the justification for your recommendations, the sources of information on the companies. That's confidential information. Not from the owner of the company, Sebastian said coldly. When Diego left, slamming the door, Valentina sighed. I'm afraid we've gone too far. Why? Now he knows we suspect him. He could warn his accomplices. What do you suggest? We act more carefully. We gather evidence quietly, without letting them know we suspect betrayal. And what about Roberto? We have to be especially careful with him. If he's really taking bribes, he could resort to extreme measures. That evening, Valentina worked late, studying financial schemes and trying to understand the fraudster's logic. Sebastian brought her dinner from a cafe. You didn't have to, she said. I could have eaten at home. When was the last time you were home before midnight? I don't remember, but this is my job. Valentina, why do you work so hard? Is it just for the money? She put down the documents. For my mom. She needs expensive treatment. Stage 4 cancer. Chemotherapy costs thousands of dollars a month. I'm sorry. Don't be. Just hope. The doctors say there's a chance. My father died when I was 16. Since then, it's just been me taking care of her. Sebastian looked at her with respect. You're a very strong woman. I just don't have a choice. When you have someone you love, you find the strength to do anything. Do you have any time for a personal life? What personal life? She laughed. Working as a courier all day, studying all night, visiting the hospital on weekends. Where's the time for romance? Would you like to have time? Valentina looked at him intently. Senor Sebastian, we're from different worlds. You're a millionaire, and I'm a simple girl from the slums. What if worlds aren't as important as they seem? They are, believe me. But in her eyes, he saw what he felt himself. A mutual affection that was growing stronger every day. They both knew their professional partnership was becoming something more. But for now, they had a job to finish. One that might prove to be far more dangerous than they ever imagined. Valentina had been working in her office for 2 weeks when she heard a woman's laugh and Sebastian's voice outside her door. She looked up from her documents and saw a tall, elegant woman in a designer dress with perfect hair in the doorway. "Darling," the stranger said, embracing Sebastian. "I've missed you so much." 3 weeks in Paris felt like an eternity. "Isabella," Sebastian replied, without much warmth in his voice. "How was the shoot?" "Wonderful. The Chanel contract is signed. I'm the new face of their collection." Valentina tried to focus on her reports, but she couldn't help but overhear the conversation in the hallway. "What's this office for?" Isabella asked. "It used to be a storage room." "It's for my new consultant." "For financial security. It sounds boring. Let's talk about our wedding instead. Mom wants to book a restaurant at the Grand Hotel. Do you think 200 guests will be enough?" Something tightened in Valentina's chest. A wedding. Sebastian had a fiancé. "Isabella, let's discuss this later," he said. "I have an important meeting." "More important than me?" she asked, sounding hurt. "A different kind of important. A work meeting." "Okay, but I'll be waiting for you at home tonight. And don't forget, tomorrow is dinner with my parents." When their voices faded, Valentina sat motionless for a long time, staring into space. She had understood there couldn't be anything serious between them, but she had hoped anyway. Now she knew he was engaged. An hour later, Sebastian walked into her office. "Valentina, how is the investigation going?" "Fine," she answered curtly, not looking up. "Is something wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, I'm just working." "You look upset. Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine." Sebastian sat across from her. "Valentina, if this is about Isabella..." "What could possibly be about Isabella?" she finally said, looking up. "You have the right to marry whoever you want." "It's a complicated story. No explanations needed. I understand everything." "No, you don't. Our engagement..." "Sebastian," Valentina interrupted. "Let's focus on work. I have new information on Roberto Maldonado." "What information?" "I traced the money. The bribes aren't going to him directly. They're going through his wife's offshore accounts. This means the scheme is more sophisticated than we thought, and they have powerful connections in very high places." The door opened again. Diego entered, his face grim. "Sebastian, we need to talk." "About what?" "About the company's reputation. I've heard rumors that your consultant is spreading slanderous information about our partners." "What information?" "Accusations of fraud, falsified reports, corruption." "And what if those accusations are justified?" "They can't be justified," Diego snapped. "Roberto Maldonado is a respected auditor with an impeccable reputation." "Impeccable," Valentina scoffed. "What about the $1.5 million in his wife's accounts?" "How do you know about his wife's accounts?" "From official sources. Bank transfers are tracked by international systems. This is a violation of privacy. This is an investigation of financial crimes." Diego turned to Sebastian. "Are you allowing her to spy on our colleagues?" "So I'm allowing her to protect my company from fraudsters." "What if she's the fraudster?" "What do you mean by that?" Valentina asked coldly. "I mean that a girl from the slums suddenly gains access to confidential documents and starts coming up with conspiracy theories." "Are you implying something specific?" "I'm implying that you may have been sent by competitors to discredit our partners." Valentina stood up. "That's a serious accusation. And it requires an investigation," Diego added. Sebastian stood up as well. "Diego, that's enough. Valentina has proven her honesty." "How?" "With her pretty eyes?" "With her professionalism and her results." "Professionalism? A courier with no higher education? A specialist who, in 2 weeks, uncovered a scheme you didn't notice for 2 years." "Didn't notice or didn't?" "Want to notice?" Diego's face went white. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that your role in this scheme also needs to be clarified." Sebastian, you've gone crazy. I'm your friend. I've worked at your company for 5 years, and in those 5 years, you've recommended 11 unprofitable deals to me. It's a coincidence. It's a very strange coincidence. Diego headed for the door. Fine. If you don't trust me, I'll resign. Resign then. I'll review your letter. When Diego left, Valentina said, I'm afraid we've gone too far. Why? Now he knows we suspect him. He can warn his accomplices. What do you suggest? We have to speed up the investigation, find direct evidence before they destroy the clues. Then get to work. I have some things to take care of. What things? Personal things. I need to handle something. That evening, as Valentina was getting ready to go home, a middle-aged man walked into her office. Señorita Ruiz? He asked. My name is Roberto Maldonado. Valentina tensed up. Good evening. How can I help you? He sat down across from her. I heard you were interested in my work as part of your official duties. I understand. But do you know that being interested in someone else's work can be dangerous? Dangerous in what sense? In any sense. Roberto took out his phone and showed her a photo. Do you recognize this person? On the screen was a photo of her mother in a hospital bed. What does this mean? Valentina's face went white. It means you should be more careful with your accusations, or your mommy might get worse. Are you threatening my mother? I'm warning a smart girl about the possible consequences of a foolish mistake. Get out of my office. We'll see each other again, Señorita Ruiz. And remember, the health of elderly people is very fragile. After he left, Valentina sat trembling with a mix of fury and fear. The game had just become deadly serious, and she knew it was too late to back down. The next morning, Valentina got a call from the hospital. Señorita Ruiz, your mother is fine, but we've run into some paperwork issues. What kind of issues? She asked anxiously. Her medical insurance has been cancelled. They said there were some irregularities in the application. What irregularities? Everything was filled out correctly. I don't know the details, but without insurance, we can't continue her treatment. Valentina rushed to the insurance company, where a clerk told her, I'm sorry, señorita, but your mother provided fraudulent income statements. The policy has been cancelled. But I filled out all the documents myself. Everything was truthful. We have different data, the clerk said, showing her a folder. According to these documents, your family's income is significantly higher than what you claimed. Valentina looked at the documents and gasped. They were forged statements for a ridiculous salary and real estate she'd never owned. This is a fake. I never submitted these forms. Nevertheless, they were submitted by you with your signature and seals. Where are the seals? I don't have any seals. We have a handwriting analysis. The signature is yours. Valentina realized she had been set up masterfully, professionally, with fake documents and expert opinions. Leaving the insurance company, she immediately called Roberto Maldonado. What did you do? Nothing. What happened? You know what happened. I'm sorry if you have problems, but maybe you should reconsider your priorities. What priorities? Your job. Sometimes it's better to stick to delivering food than to get involved in financial investigations. And if I refuse, then your mother might not live to see a new policy. Cancer doesn't wait. Hanging up, Valentina sat on a bench and cried. For the first time in years, she felt completely helpless. These people were toying with her mother's life like a pawn. She returned to the office, defeated. Sebastian immediately noticed her condition. What's wrong? Nothing. Just tired. Valentina, you look like you got terrible news. I did. I need to stop the investigation. Why? Because I was wrong. Roberto Maldonado is an honest man, and so is Diego. I'm sorry for the false accusations. Sebastian looked at her carefully. Valentina, is someone pressuring you? No one is pressuring me. I just realized I was wrong. Wrong about what? About the math, about the bank transfers, about interpreting the data. What I thought was fraud was just normal business operations. Are you serious? Serious. I want to go back to being a courier. Valentina, look me in the eye. Sebastian moved closer to her. Tell me the truth. Were you threatened? No. What about your mother? Valentina couldn't hold his gaze and turned away. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. And so do I. He took her by the shoulders. Valentina, I won't let anyone hurt you. You won't let anyone? And how will you protect me? These people have connections everywhere. In hospitals, insurance companies, government agencies. So they did threaten you. What exactly? My mom. They cancelled her medical insurance and forged documents to accuse us of fraud. Scumbags, Sebastian cursed. And what do they want in return? For me to drop the accusations and convince you to sign the deals with their companies. And what are you going to do? Do what they want. I have no choice. Yes, you do. Fight back. It's easy to say that when your mother isn't dying of cancer. Valentina, if we give in to them now, they won't stop. They'll demand more and more. And if we don't, my mom will die. What do you choose? Sebastian was silent for a long time before he said, Fine. Do what you think is best, but give me 1 day. Why? I want to try to solve this a different way. No one can help. They have too much power. We'll see. In the meantime, tell your mom not to leave the hospital and not to accept any medicine from strangers. You think they could? I think they're capable of anything. That evening, Valentina sat by her mother's bedside, holding her hand. Mom, we might have to switch hospitals. Why, sweetie? Paperwork problems, but I'll fix it, I promise. Don't worry about me. I've already lived my life. Don't say that. We still have a lot of time ahead of us. Valentina, who was that young man who paid for my room? What man? Tall? Handsome? He said he was a friend of yours and told me everything would be okay. Sebastian, I think he was called. He's a sweet boy, and you can tell he's in love with you. Mom, you're imagining things. I'm not. A woman's heart can feel these things. He looked at your photo so tenderly. What photo? The one you brought me last month, of us in the park. Valentina realized Sebastian hadn't just paid for the treatment. He was trying to protect her family in the only way he knew how. For the first time in days, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe they really did have a chance to win. The next morning, Valentina walked into the conference room to find Sebastian with prosecutor Carlos Estrada and investigator Maria Lopez. Valentina, Sebastian called out. We'd like to talk to you about Roberto Maldonado. But I told you I was wrong. We think you were right, the investigator said. We have information on his criminal activities. Roberto has been under investigation for 6 months. Your information could be a key piece of evidence. Are you willing to testify? The prosecutor asked. What about my mom? Her insurance was cancelled. We'll restore it. We have proof of the forgery. Roberto will be arrested today. By evening, Roberto Maldonado was arrested at his office, and Diego Herrera was detained while trying to flee. It's over, Sebastian said. Now I can go back to being a courier. Why? I have an offer for you to be the financial director of Conectaya. Sebastian, I don't even have my diploma. You'll get it. For now, you can work and study with a great salary. And what about your fiancé, Isabella? We're not engaged anymore. We talked yesterday. It turns out she's been in love with someone else for a long time. Our engagement was just for our parents, So what now? Now I'm free to confess my love to the woman who changed my life. Valentina, I've fallen in love with you. We were from different worlds, she said. Now we're in the world of people who fight for what's right. A year later, Forbes included Valentina in their 30 under 30 list. Her mother recovered. Isabella became her best friend. Sebastian, Valentina said on their anniversary, I have a business proposal. A merger of our lives. She pulled out a ring. Will you marry me? That's my line, he laughed. In this family, the financial director takes the initiative. Then yes, with pleasure, Miss Ruiz. Sometimes the most incredible love stories begin with the words, don't sign that contract.